digital infrastructure side, I think even within the government there is an acknowledgement and a realization that perhaps the pace could have been faster. If you were to specifically talk about BharatNet, the milestones that the government had set have not been achieved. What do you believe needs to be done on the digital infrastructure side? I know that you're also part of a committee that's set up with Mr. Chandrababu Naidu as the head of that committee to look at expanding digital infrastructure, including perhaps looking at options of importing POS machines and so on and so forth. So purely from a connectivity and a digital infrastructure preparedness, readiness point of view, where do things stand? What are the kind of targets that you're now working with?
I think the real challenge for the country is to spread internet across the country. You know, there are dark and grey spots, and the challenge this year is to cover about 150,000 panchayats out of the allocation of 10,000 crores that has been made. So the target this year is that we must reach out to 150,000 panchayats, and again another 150,000 panchayats for next year. But in addition to that, we're looking at several dark and grey spots, which we'll cover through Wi-Fi spots. And there's some very unique examples. I mean, in Chhattisgarh, there's this collector of Palna district who's actually used a Wi-Fi spot to make his whole district, become digital payment literate, less cash. So that is, to my mind, that is really the first and foremost challenge. Spreading out physical internet everywhere. And there are some unique models of this, and states need to take the lead in this. What Andhra, for instance, did, using its electricity poles to spread optic network across, so that they've reached out to every single panchayat. Kerala is looking at making every village connect to internet in the next 3 years through their smart village concept. But I think a lot of that will get driven simply because a lot of youngsters, I think where the real disruption is happening is because youngsters are breaking the mold. I mean, if you look at health sector, the amount of new initiatives that have come in, look at Practo, look at Consio Medical, look at Portia, look at Mitra Biotech. These are all examples of technology which is spreading out. Or look at education. I mean, why is there's a huge revolution taking place in, look at what Extra Marks is doing, just using technology to provide better education. I mean, a young girl today using Hello English has taught 9 million Indians how to speak English. 9 million Indians in 1 year. No educational school or institution has been able to do it. It's been done only through technology. Or look at what this guy, Baiju, in which Mark Zuckerberg has invested. Well, he's using technology to spread out across India. And therefore, you need many young Indians who are sitting here to really disrupt the model. That's the way India will grow. It will not grow physically. Better quality will happen, we'll be able to improve our quality in health and education through open sources. And therefore, health and education, the big revolution is digitally is upon us, whether we like it or not. And it will happen through young entrepreneurs.
But is the government going to play a role in that? You talked a lot about a lot of the startups who are using the power of technology to try and get access. But what about the government itself? So the Niti Aayog is looking at education and healthcare. We've got a new national health policy in place which promises healthcare to everybody. But is there any sort of pilot project that we can now expect on the digital front, at least as far as these sectors are concerned?
No, so we really pushed we were involved in the digital payment movement, and we pushed the district collectors into bringing out, we supported them in a vast number of ways. And we said that they will become the key drivers on the ground. So at Gram Panchayat level, at Panchayat level, at district levels, all of them have done very, very innovative work across the country.
See, Mr. Kant correctly pointed out about how much we need to develop the internet economy, how we need to open up the infrastructure. Apart from that, there is something we need to do on the regulatory front, which is opening up the number of players who are playing this ecosystem. Now, basically, if you look at the structure of the Indian financial services system, 70% is owned by the government of India in the form of state-owned banks. Now, since they're all governed by the same CBC, CBI, and all the other concerns that they all have, typically everybody has the same programs. Now, when they have the same programs, obviously, no one's really looking at figuring out how to finance the unfunded and so on and so forth. Now, if you want to say that, look, apart from opening up the internet infrastructure, how do we make use of it, the other part of it? We need to bring a lot more number of players. In other words, we need players. For example, we could just say that, okay, mobile companies have been given mobile banks. Now, if we were to say that apart from being payment banks, we are also allow you to lend credit. Then a telecom company could probably give somebody a credit of 4,000 rupees on the phone, and as part of the billing process, they might collect the 4,000 rupees back. Now, that could open up a completely new era of lending that today we don't do. Today, for example, most lenders would say that, look, I need a minimum tenor of 1 year. Below 1 year, it doesn't make sense for me. It's a losing proposition. There might be another lender who might come and say, hey, hold on, I can do a lending even for 3 months because my model is different. I'm entirely on the internet. So, apart from opening up the internet infrastructure, we will just need to introduce a large number of players which are not state-owned and be far more liberal in opening up. In fact, even the 10 SFBs that have come up is a good development, but they're not going to shake the Indian banking system at all because the existing income banks are just too big and too large and too much benefits in terms of having a control of the ecosystem. We will need probably 100 or 200 new banks to actually make a shake of the system and take financing as well as financial inclusion, both on the liability side as the asset side, deeper in the system.
Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here and giving us your thoughts and your insights on what the journey ahead looks like and what the government as well as other stakeholders involved should focus on. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Thanks very much.